Hello and welcome to another segment of the Fitness Whisperer. Thank you for joining me. So I've been getting a lot of emails lately from individuals with kids asking me to talk about issues surrounding childhood obesity, kids that are just out of shape, and wanting my advice on things that they can do as parents to help to motivate their kids to get active, and also what steps they can take in order to help their kids get active and lose weight as well. So today we're going to talk about childhood obesity, and we're going to also talk about different methods and steps that parents, you as parents out there, can take in order to make sure that your kids grow up to be healthy, right? So the best approach for me to take is to touch on a few topics, and I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on each topic, okay? So the first topic I'm going to talk about, and for all of those out there that were born in the 70s or even the early 80s, growing up back then, and eating dinner, at least for myself, and I could only speak for myself and a few other friends, you could not leave the table unless you finished your food. That was just the rule growing up, right? You had to finish your food no matter what. You couldn't go out and play hockey and go roller skating with your friends or go swimming unless the food was cleaned up off the plate, okay? Now, it may have worked back then, and I think the biggest reason it did work back then is because after we were done eating, we will go outside and play, road hockey, go swimming, go cycling. We didn't have video games and smartphones back in the 70s and early 80s. We were actually outside being active, right? So it didn't really matter back then. But as we all know nowadays, you have all kinds of home video games, PlayStation, Xbox, you have your smartphone, young kids, they're either distracted by those video games or they have smartphones, and, they're just sitting around and not being as active as we used to be back in the late 70s and the 70s and 80s. So getting back to what I said about, growing up, we had to make sure that we finish eating our food. What I would recommend parents to do today is to not so much push your kids to finish eating everything that they have on their plate. Really respect their appetite, especially if they're not very active. You don't want them to load up on food and then they just go and sit on the couch and play video games for the next 2 or 3 hours because the fat is just packing on, right? So respect your kids' appetite. If all they can eat is half or 3/4 or 2/3 of the food, then so be it. Let them come back later and finish eating whatever they have to eat then. Or if they don't feel like eating at all, just, maybe save the leftovers for the next day or two. But really respect your kids' appetite, okay? So that's number one. Number two is also to make sure that you're incorporating, healthy foods into your kids' diets. I know a lot of high schools, they have the cafeteria, and I mean, cafeteria food has been in the media for the last few years, from them serving, high sugar soft drinks to high carbs, high sugar food, your fries, your burgers, all the food that have high preservatives in it. If you can actually prepare your kids' lunch, I know we're all busy, I understand, but if you could take some time aside and actually prepare your kids' lunch and, pack fruits, vegetables, if you're making a sandwich, make sure it's a multigrain bread that you're using or whole wheat bread. You want to avoid the white bread. White bread has high counts of glucose in it, which is sugar, right? So you're essentially just feeding your kids sugar. If you can, stay away from the processed meats, the hams and the bologna. I mean, I know it's easy to make, don't get me wrong, but if you can stay away from the processed meats and go to a deli, I mean, a lot of stores have delis nowadays inside the grocery store where you can just order some sliced meat. You can get some couple of slices of sliced ham or sliced roast beef or sliced turkey. That's way better. It does have some sodium or salt in it, but it's a lot better than the packaged processed bolognas and hams, right? So if you can take some time aside and prepare your kids lunch, pack some celery sticks, some carrots, some broccoli, some juice. Juice is high in sugar as well, but it's a lot better than them purchase the pop and the sodas that you get at the school in the vending machines, right? So if you can do that, that would be great. You're only helping out your kids, and the chances of them getting overweight or staying overweight will drop drastically just from you taking some time aside and preparing your kids' lunch. And along with that, dinner as well, right? You want to stay away from the pre-made food, right? You don't want to go to the fast food restaurants after work. I know it's easy, it's a quick fix. Kids are fed, you just go through the drive-through and that's it. And I mean, of course, that's fine once in a while, right? But if you can take the time aside and actually prepare dinners and meals for your kids, it would be a lot healthier for them seeing that it's homemade, right? So really try to avoid, the pre-made meals, those TV dinners, right? Or like I said, those fast foods. Just try to avoid that, because really all that you're doing is just loading up a lot of preservatives. Your kids are digesting a lot of sugar, a lot of sodium, and they're just packing on the weight, right? And like I said earlier, if you have kids that love the video games and love the smartphone, they're not being active as it is. So if you're also feeding them processed food or pre-made food, it's just adding to their level or their chances of getting, later on in life, or even, I mean, we've all heard, or if you haven't, there is a health condition called juvenile diabetes. It's very prevalent and it's getting even worse, right? So, and what happens is, because parents give kids so much sugar, may it be within processed food or in white breads, the pancreas can't keep up with maintaining the amount of insulin, because the pancreas makes insulin, and the insulin is what actually brings down your blood sugar level. But in juvenile diabetes, kids are just taking in so much sugar, their pancreas is working too hard and it can't keep up with the amount of sugar that they're taking. So you have kids in their early teens, late teens, that have juvenile diabetes. I mean, 2 generations ago, this was just non-existent, right? So really watch the amount of sugar, the pre-packaged food and the white bread. I mean, I can't say it enough, people out there. Really watch that type of food, or that food source that you're feeding your kids. Avoid the pre-packaged food and the white bread. Cut down drastically on their sugar, okay? Another way that you can actually help your kids also avoid getting overweight is to participate with them in some, family activities. You don't have to have your kids sign up for hockey and soccer and baseball. I mean, if you can do that, that's great. It's not cheap. It costs quite a bit of money to maintain that type of activity for your kids. But if you want to try something that's a little bit cheaper, if you have a dog, just go for a walk with the dog as a family at night. If you can do that, 3 or 4 times a week for 10 or 15 minutes. If you can do that with your kids, go for a walk or just spend some time outside being active, right? Anything outdoors that's engaging you and your kids will help them a lot. Just from them having that experience of being outside, they'll be able to understand that life is not just about video games and smartphones. There's actually life outside of that, where they can go outside and actually have a good time and be distracted and be engaged just as much as they could sitting in front of the TV. And it's a lot better for their health. So if you can engage in some family fun, some family activities, some family games, some family sports, that would be excellent. And also at the same time, like I said, if you can sign them up for organized sports, that would be excellent for them as well, right? I do know organized sports run for a certain period of time, like hockey season, for example, runs for about 3 or 4 months, and then it's over. I mean, I know that could actually run for a year, but it could run for a little bit longer, but that's not cheap. So a very inexpensive way to get your kids active is to just try to spend some outdoor time with them. Just spend 10 or 15 minutes a day walking outside with them. And I mean, speaking for myself, I remember when I used to do that with my family. My mom, she would just take us for walks, and it's funny thinking back then as a kid, I didn't, I'm like, okay, well, we're walking around, we're not really doing much, but in hindsight, now that I'm grown up, those are things that you never forget, and you would pass something like that on to your kids. I mean, for people that are in their late 30s, early to mid 40s, or even 50s and 60s, remember the times that you spent outside when you were a kid. Remember how much fun that was? Just being outside? Well, you want to introduce your kids to that experience as well, okay? Do not feel that the video game and the smartphone is the end-all be-all. Bring your kids back to something that's a lot more productive for them and a lot more healthy for them. Take them outside, get them engaged, get them involved, okay? They'll love it and they'll thank you for it later on in life. I mean, they really would. So that's another one. Also, maintain a high fiber diet for your kids, right? So feed them a lot of fiber. That will go a long way in, helping their bowels, bringing down the cholesterol levels. High fiber diet is a really important and essential part of your kids' diet. So if you don't know what foods are high in fiber, I could give you a few. Broccoli is great. Brussels sprouts is great, high in fiber. Peas, lentils, all the beans families, kidney beans, black beans, I mean, you name it, beans are excellent and they're very high in fiber. So if you can introduce some high fiber food in your kids' diets, 3 or 4 times a week, that is excellent as well. So yeah, diet, I mean, it's no difference from an adult wanting to lose weight. If you hear the rhetoric on TV, diet and exercise and you will lose weight. The same thing applies to your kids. Watch their diet, make sure it's high fiber, they're eating healthy foods, they're getting their fruits, their vegetables, they're drinking a lot of water. So diet, and you also want to make sure that they're exercising or they're active. So get them outside, get them moving around. It doesn't have to be anything great. A walk would be excellent. Like I said, for 10 or 15 minutes, that would be great for the kids. Okay. So I just wanted to make this short video so I could reply to those listeners out there that have been sending me emails. I mean, I have read a few, and it's heartwarming to see what some of these parents are saying about their kids. Childhood obesity is here. It's very real. And if we don't be proactive and take charge in our kids' health, we're going to have a generation of some very, very unhealthy young adults. Right? What's happening now is that we're seeing young people getting sick in these health conditions that a generation or two ago, you would see this happening to people in their 50s and 60s. Like I mentioned, juvenile diabetes. 2 generations ago, this was just absolutely unheard of. So we really have to take a hard look at our lifestyles, what exactly are our kids eating, and how active are our kids, right? So just something for you out there to be aware of, and just try to take charge. You really don't have to spend a lot of money to achieve this. It's very cost effective, and it will go a long way in making sure that your kids stay healthy. And this is just information and the experience that your kids will pass down to their kids, right? So get your kids moving, keep them healthy, and keep them out of the hospital. There's no reason why kids between the ages of 13 to 18 should have diabetes. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for it. There are things that are within our control. Do not feel like it's out of our control. Kids are very personable. I mean, we all know what gets our kids motivated. Play towards your kids' motivation, and they will do it. And after a while, they're going to enjoy doing it. But if it means you taking away the video game, or taking away the cell phone, or not paying for or telling them that you're not going to pay for the cell phone, or the video game is going to go away for 2 weeks unless they do XYZ. I mean, I know it sounds a little bit extreme, but we're talking about your kids' health. There's a lot of kids out there that are very, very unhealthy. So an extreme time requires an extreme measurement, right? So if this means you being extreme, do not feel guilty about it. Your kids, when they get older, they're gonna forget about the fact that you did this to them, and they're gonna thank you for the fact that you made sure that they were healthy. So really be proactive out there as parents, and really take charge of your kids' health, and they will definitely thank you for it. Okay. So I hope I answered the questions out there to the people that have sent me these emails about what steps they can take in order to start getting their kids healthy. If you do have any more questions out there, I say this on all my videos, feel free to send me an email. I do read them. It may take me a couple of days to go through all of them, but just like this one, this is just a response to an email that I've gotten. So please send me your emails, and I'll definitely make sure that I touch on a topic that the audience as a whole will appreciate. Okay, so that's it. That's everything I had to say today. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for supporting this channel, watching my videos. I really appreciate it. And again, if you like what I'm saying and you want to continue to follow me on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button, and you can follow me on YouTube. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at The Fitness Whisperer, or if you do have any questions and you want to send me an email, feel free to send me an email at thefitnesswhisperer_7@gmail.com. Okay? So thanks again out there, folks. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And bye for now.